Now we would like to introduce our next speaker. Julio Carvalho first encountered the Spiritist doctrine when he was about 14 years old. Since then, he has become an active participant in the United States Spiritist movement. He has co-founded the Spiritist Center Divine Light in Newark, New Jersey, which he coordinates with a group of friends, and has become a prolific speaker, disseminating the Spiritist message not only in the tri-state area, but also in the Union County Jail, where he works as a mental health counselor. Julio will be talking about the new citizen and its moral attributes.
Spiritist Symposium Committee, distinguished speakers, members of the audience, allow me to start by wishing everyone peace in our hearts. The first speaker mentioned that the planet Earth, it's about 4.6 billion years old. That's just too big of a number for us to comprehend. So a geologist back in the 1960s, Mr. Teddy, he wrote an essay in order to help us to comprehend what does that number mean. And he said, if we try to compare 4.6 billion years with 1 year, starting by 12 o'clock at midnight and ending at midnight after 365 days, planet Earth will start at the first second of midnight. In the first couple of months, the Earth will cool down. By the end of May, single-cell organisms might be seen. By the end of June, multi-celled organisms will be seen. But then, the Cambrian period only starts by November. Early December, we might see plants on land. And by December 12, dinosaurs will appear. Are you amazed? Because I was so amazed when I checked out these numbers. And the dinosaurs ruled the world for 100 million years, which in this calendar, it's only 9 days. By December 23rd, the first cities starts to begin. And believe it or not, the first florists will start to appear. After Christmas, you will see the first cities. And 22 seconds before midnight, the Egyptians will build their pyramids. And 7/10 of a second before midnight, the Declaration of Independence was written back in the year 1776, which is equivalent to about 234 years, which means that Earth is indeed very, very young. Therefore, a transition will not happen from the year 2012 to the year 2013. A transition is a transition. It would take time. Based on this time frame, 100 years, it's not even a millisecond. Therefore, it will take time. Slowly but gradually, we will see the people being transformed into this new generation. But we are all invited to participate in this new world by changing our actions. I don't know why it's so hard for some people to understand that earthly life is very abundant, but it's not limited to planet Earth. In our galaxy alone, we have about 100 billion stars. And back in 1998, the telescope Hubble photographed about 125 billion galaxies. If just one of each galaxy had life in one of its planets, we will have approximately 125 billion civilizations. Therefore, Earth is just one planet, one school amongst billions out there. And just like any other planet, just like everything in nature, it is under the law of progress. It must move forward. And as of now, we are in a world of pain, of atonements, a world of trial and expiations, moving to a world of regeneration. But what are the main characteristics of this new individual on this new planet? Well, our main characteristics for the past hundreds of years, it is always about conquering the neighbor, imperialism. We're always advancing in wars, trying to acquire something that doesn't belong to us by killing our brothers and sisters. But this new person, this new citizen, and its moral attributes mainly differentiates that he's not fighting against one another, but he has finally understood that he will fight against himself. He will see that he is the cause of his problems, and therefore he must be the solution to all of his problems. And this is why, since the time has come that Allan Kardec, with the help of teenager mediums back in the year 1857, published the Spirit's book, announcing that this time has come in order for this planet Earth to move forward and its people. And as a result, we have received the teachings of those who are ahead of us in progress, and they have come back from the afterlife to let us know what is it that we have to do. And since Allan Kardec was so concerned about teaching, so concerned about elevating the souls, he asked in question 913 of the Spirit's book, which of all of our vices is the source of all of our problems? Which vice is the root to all of our problems? Now, because Allan Kardec was such an excellent pedagogue, he was so concerned in teaching all the time. So this is why, for you who are dedicated in reading this uncomparable book, we'll see that from the questions alone, there is so much to learn. For example, why does he put the word root on this particular question? Well, if I want to know the root of the problem, I am not concerned about the branches or the consequences or the effects of my problem. But we should be concerned with the root of the problem. Now, when you hear the word root, what is the first image that comes to your mind? Plants, trees. When you look at a tree is made of root, its trunk, and many branches. So therefore, just like in a tree, if I cut the branches out of my problem, over time, those problems will resurface. And then again, I'm suffering from the same problems. Even if we cut the trunk of a tree, over time, that trunk again will rise. Now, if we cut the trunk of our problems, we still have the root. And what is the function of a root? To provide support, nutrients. It provides equilibrium. If we remove the root of any tree, the tree will eventually die. So Allan Kardec asked, what is the root of our problem? So definitely we can remove this root and stop suffering. Because not only this root of our problems keeps us from moving forward, it is also the main cause of all of your pain, of all of your unhappiness. It is connected to this particular root. Now, before we talk about the root of the problem, new citizens of this planet, let me let you know what are some of the branches of these problems. First branch of our problem, envy. Envy is one source of unhappiness. The new citizen will understand that as long as he bears envy within himself, he will suffer constantly. Why? Well, an envy individual, he is very unhappy because of someone's happiness. If he's at his job and someone else gets promoted, he is miserable. Now think for some time when you wanted something and a friend of yours or a family or a relative had actually received what you crave for. How did that make you feel? Imagine that you want to buy a house, for example, but of course you don't have the financial means to purchase this home. And out of nowhere, a friend of yours calls you and said, listen, would you like to come? I'm inviting you to come to my new house. So out of nowhere, you feel this pain in your stomach. You cannot determine what it is, but your day doesn't go well as planned. So you go to your friend's house and suddenly your friend is so excited showing his house to you. Now, how does that make you feel? You know, I read in one of these magazines that we call Empty Cultures magazine. They don't learn nothing from them. In that magazine, while I was waiting to get my haircut, the magazine said, only poor people show their houses to their guests. The rich people just allow them to walk throughout the house, but poor people make sure that their guest sees every little corner of that new house. So you're dragged by your host to the attic, and he shows to you, look at this attic, look how much space I have in here to put all my garbage. He drags you down to the basement, and there he shows to you all the tools that he's able to put on his basement. Then he takes you to the kitchen, and he opens the different closets, and he even counts the shelves for you. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the amount of plates I could put in here. They drag you down. But the question is, while he's doing this to you, how does that make you feel? Are you happy because he has a brand new acquisition, or are you frustrated because you don't have none? Just think of it, because if this is how we feel, we constantly will find causes to feel unhappy. Because wherever we go, there are people who are more intellectually advanced than us, more morally advanced than us. They are better in what we do. And if we don't practice the skill of feeling happy because of someone's progress, we will always feel miserable. Therefore, envy becomes a source of unhappiness in our lives. But a second branch to this tree of problems is greed. And greed pervades our society in such a way that people are constantly waiting to be stabbed by other people. And someone who's greedy, they hardly find themselves happy. Why? Because they're always looking forward. If he has some money, he's always looking at someone who has more money than he does. If you have a chance to speak with that person, they will say, no, I'm not rich. That person is rich. And you go on to the other person and say, no, I'm not rich. I know a millionaire. No, I'm not a millionaire. I know a billionaire, and so forth. It never ends. Now, are we here to really enrich ourselves with material life? In no way, shape, or form, Spiritism preaches that we must be poor. It preaches that we should be unattached to material things. Because as long as we're attached to things that doesn't belong to us, we will suffer. Nothing belongs to us. Our cars, our houses, our degrees, everything we must leave behind. Guess what? Not even our body belongs to us, because we must have returned it from the earth where we took it from. What do you mean from the earth? What do you eat? You eat cow, chicken, fish. Where do they get the food from? From plants. Where plants get food from? From earth, from the ground. So we must return our body where it came from. So nothing belongs to us except our actions. Therefore, greed becomes a very strong source of unhappiness into our lives. But what about another branch? Resentfulness. Someone who's resentful, they always carry grudges within themselves. They go on with their lives seeing their reality according to a 10-year reality. If someone harmed them 10 years ago, they don't see the current world as it is. They see this world according to the light of the events that happened 10 years ago. Imagine someone was punched in the face by a particular enemy. 10 years has passed by, and this individual still sees everyone as someone that could betray them, that could steal from them, or punch them in the face. A girl who was left on the altar by her handsome groom. She will now carry this trauma, thinking that all men on this planet will leave her at the altar, so she never gets engaged again. A little girl who was molested, she will go on to grow up thinking that every man that she sees, it's the same person who actually molested her. So resentment distorts reality. And that person who has done us harm, where are they right now? Well, as far as we know, they could be in Cancun, having a coconut drink, sitting by the beach. They could care less about your existence. But meanwhile, because we have decided to hold the grudge and the resentment, we feel perturbed. We feel insane. We change our lives. We allow that person to tell us how to live, because since we feel so miserable, everything that we do in life is also miserable. Therefore, resentfulness becomes a branch of our problems. But what about jealousy? Oh my Lord. I know I'm not speaking to the right audience because none of you here are jealous people. When we feel jealous, it means that we think that people belong to us. We usually say, my wife, my husband, my kids. And in reality, they are not yours. They are God's, and they are temporarily with you. I know phonetically speaking, it's unusual for us to say, this person is with me. She is currently someone who's with me. It's easier to say, she's my wife. He is my husband. But these people, they don't belong to us. Someone who's jealous, they believe that person is a property of them. I have a car, I have a house, I have a laptop, I have a wife, I have a dog. It's a piece that belongs to them. And that is not true. And the more we try to encapsulate someone that we think that belongs to us in our personal jail, the more they will escape through our fingers. Because no one likes their freedom to be taken away. No one. And jealous people are extremely controlling. They're always thinking of garbage. There is never a real reason why the person show up late or why they missed the appointment. There is always something going on. If the woman shows up late, the man is thinking she is going out with someone at her job. I know. If she shows up early, he says, well, she missed the day and she spent the whole day with the other guy. Now, the poor lady tries to get home on time, and he says, well, she's just trying to make for whatever happens for the past 2 days. There is never a real reason. There is a quick story about this very controlling couple. The man left the house and he got at his job at 9 o'clock and said, honey, I'm here. At 10:30, he called in and said, honey, I'm on my coffee break. At 12 o'clock, he said, honey, I'm going to lunch. Honey, it's 1 o'clock, I'm back from lunch. Honey, it's 3:30, I'm on my coffee break. Honey, 6 o'clock, I'm leaving home. Honey, I'm home. So every day was, honey, I'm here. Honey, 10 o'clock, taking my coffee break. Honey, it's 12 o'clock, going to lunch. Honey, it's 1 o'clock, I am back from lunch. 3:30, going to my coffee break. Honey, I'm home. Now you look at me like you never did this before, right? No, you didn't. But one day, this man was traveling home and he had a car accident and he died. So now everyone is at the funeral, and you know how you put the picture on the easel? So the family was gathered, and out of nowhere, this other woman shows up with a child. And the child runs to the picture saying, Daddy, Daddy. And now this other woman starts crying too. So suddenly the widow, she throws the paper towel away and said, what's going on here? Who are you? And she says, well, I'm lunch from 12 to 1. You cannot control someone's mind. So resentfulness, jealousy, envy, they all stems from one particular source. And Allan Kardec was concerned with this main source, which is selfishness. Selfishness is at the root of all of our problems. Someone who's jealous, are they concerned about the well-being of others? No, they're not. They're concerned about their own well-beings. Greed, resentfulness, they're always concerned about themselves. Therefore, to remove this root from our hearts. In the question 914:15, the highly evolved spirits constantly mention the word charity. We must do charity. Now, what is charity? In the question 625 of the such acclaimed book, the Spirit's book, Allan Kardec asked the highly evolved spirits, what is the standard for perfection, morality? Who is the guide and the model that God has sent to us so we can become better individuals? And they answered with one word, Jesus. Now, Jesus is someone that guides us and a model that we must copy from. But then on question 886, he says, he combined the two subjects. What is charity according to Jesus? And the spirits answered, benevolence towards all, indulgence towards the imperfections of others, and forgiveness of all offenses. Therefore, in order for us to become a new citizen on this new earth, we must incorporate charity into our lives. Do you like anyone to stab on your back? Do you like people punching your face? No. Therefore, don't do it to anyone else. Do you like people to betray you? No. Therefore, don't do it to anyone else. Do you like people doing nice things to you? Yes. Therefore, you do nice things. The initiative must start from you. And as a result, you will feel happy immediately because you're following the law of action and reaction. The positive that I produce is the positive that I receive. The misery that I distribute is the unhappiness I will reap. Therefore, let's prepare ourselves for this new earth as of now. We live our martyrial lives as if death had a contract with old age. But that's not true. Once a girl wrote a letter to the professor Leo Buscaglia. And on this letter, she says, you didn't. Remember when I borrowed your car and I dented it? I thought you would kill me, but you didn't. Remember that day you told me, let's not go to the beach, and I dragged you down to the beach because it's going to rain. Once we got there, it rained. I thought you were going to say, I told you so, but you didn't. Remember when I forgot to tell you that the wedding was formal dressing and you showed up in jeans? I was so sure that day you would abandon me. Remember when I flirted with your friends just to make you jealous? I was so assured that that day you will abandon me. But then you didn't. And because you didn't, there are so many things I wanted to make up to you because I loved you so much. So I waited for you so we could get married. And I waited from you to get back from Vietnam, but then you didn't. The moment, it's now. No one ever knows if you're going to have the same opportunities that you have as of now. A perfect body and a conscience illumined by the Spiritist codification. Let's use it on our own goodwill to transform this planet, not transforming others, but looking for the source of unhappiness in us. And as a result, we will make our job, we will fulfill our mission to help God, to help Jesus bring this planet from the atonement and pain to the regenerating world, where we're not concerned about destroying others, but we're concerned about improving our lives. This is the main reason why the Spirits wrote the Spirit's book and the other books. This is the reason why the Spirit Castro Alves, who was such an acclaimed poet when he was only 24 years of age, his poems and his writings about slavery and the abolishment of slavery made him so famous back in the early 1900s. This is why. He came from the afterlife through the hands of one of the most prolific mediums of our time, Chico Xavier. And he writes a poem which summarizes all the answers from the main questions we have in life. Who are we? Where we came from? And most importantly, where are we going? When he affirms, life has its mysteries, encompassing laws of beauty, which compels us to evolve. From God we emanate, multiple forms we reincarnate, longing for perfection and love. In humanity we seek the truth from the myths, yearning for peace and evolution. We cause in our path multiple lives and deaths, victims of our own disillusion. From the eternal struggle, building ourselves from the rubble, we learn ways to overcome. Despite the pain and misery, nevertheless growing ceaselessly from darkness to dawn. From the raindrop, a plant reaches the top, triumphant at last. The root appears to be gloom, but manure converts to perfume, transmutation at its best. The plant will be crowned with flowers all around, birds opera on their arrival, but flowers too shall pass. Their martyrdom is a blast for the ground's revival. From nature we are taught, work hard, that's the law. All life is in movement. Sculpting through sacrifice, we'll carve blocks of ice. Inside a stone lies a monument. Lessons from suffering and pain, change will always reign. Even narrows, tyrants without seas, under the law of reincarnation, through many trials and expiations, will too be messengers of peace. Let no one be idle. Today's angel was yesterday's Adam. Perfection is everyone's destiny. Life's purpose splendid. God's love transcendent. Our school, universe's eternity. On earth from time to time, sublime beacons of light dissipates the shadows away. Their presence are felt, for every nest they dwell, transforming night into day. Never in history a sacrifice, such as portrayed by Christ, transpired for the sake of truth. From the cross the message is heard, forgive all, always serve, your pain I will soothe. It's Socrates and the hemlock. It's Caesar's war being fought, inflaming oppression and cruelty. It's Celine and his art, the imperialism of Bonaparte, spreading domination and tyranny. It's King's I Have a Dream, Lincoln's speeches never seen. The incarnation of renovators is the embodiment of humility. From the charitable Francis of Assisi, the gospel resuscitator. Blessed be the teachers, the speakers who illuminate the seekers, inspiring virtues and light. Bliss is yours to conquer, although excellence is yonder, your progress is bright. In the entire universe, divine, heavenly verses, decrees, march on. A celestial love awaits. Have hope, have faith towards the infinite to come. Thank you, committee, for inviting me. Thank you, speakers, because I truly feel humbled for being part of such distinguished groups. And at last, thank you, God, for the blessing of speaking, and to you all, our deepest gratitude for listening.